I was diagnosed with a cancer I was told would be fatal, I still remember the words, "You'll be dead in 3 years, maybe 4, don't think about 5, that will never happen." Well, when I saw you 2 days later, you showed us studies, most of which had bar graphs that ended at about 3 years. And then you showed us one that had these very tall bar graphs and said, I'd like to provide you the service that was used in this study if you'll agree to that. I don't know if you remember me calling you at one time and I said, "Dr. Tward, you think I'm going to live. Everybody else thinks I'm going to die. When am I going to know how this is really going to turn out?"
I am pretty optimistic. I think if you're an oncologist, you better be, fairly optimistic. You have to be realistic as well, because, you don't want to give people the wrong impressions, and, you have to set expectations appropriately. Our research really did suggest that treatment pathway would probably lead to an 80 to 90% probability of success.
Well, the Huntsman Cancer Institute meant so much to me because I knew that if John Huntsman hadn't put up the money he did and the inspiration he did, that this wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be here, and I would be dead in 3 years. I've said to many people since then that the most important thing Dr. Tward did was not to save my life. It was to give my wife hope. We left with hope. That made the interaction terrific.
You talk about looking at those graphs and whatnot. Those graphs were actually generated here in our own research program. But I knew that we had outstanding success with it, and that's why I was so convicted that it's what I would pursue if I were the patient. And I also still remember too, the difference on your face and your wife's face as you left, thinking maybe I actually will see some grandchildren being born and possibly some great-grandchildren. We've formed a very close bond since that time. That was over a decade ago. But the fact that we did that and left you feeling like a vibrant person who could, just kind of continue on is what's really one of the most gratifying parts of it.
I think I feel as healthy and young as I did in the several years before the cancer showed up. I had confidence that the treatment I was getting was the best treatment that could be offered, regardless of how it turned out. And that gave me peace.
I remember when I was thinking about coming here, I came here for training and then stayed on as faculty. The Huntsman Cancer Institute was basically a brand new research facility. I said, they're building something special out there, and I think I want to be part of it. There are so many people that you will never even see who are working on making the patient better. It's the pathologists, the surgeons, the medical oncologists, the nutritionists, the genetic counselors, the nurses, everything. And then on top of that, throw in the clinical trials. All those people poured literally hundreds of hours into your treatment plan, just your treatment plan, which I think are also critical to give people more choices, more hope.
I had such confidence that I was in the hands of a really good doctor who was a really good person. That meant a great deal to me. People ask me about being a cancer survivor and what did you learn and all that kind of, and I find myself going, well, that I had a future, that I had, I had grandchildren that I could maybe see graduate from high school. This means everything. It means so much to me.